All right, so good afternoon, guys. My name is Mr. Daniel. I'm one of the 4-H Extension agents here in Palm Beach County, Florida. And today we are talking to Jonay and Francisco, which are two ag agents, or agricultural agents as we call them. And Jonay and Francisco, would you guys mind introducing yourselves and what county you're with, and also how you developed an interest in 4-H?
I'm in Hardy County, which is in the heartland of Florida, about an hour away from Tampa, about an hour and a half away from Orlando. So we're south, I guess, of the I-4 corridor. Our county has got like 27,000 people. We have a strong 4-H program, heavily focused on agriculture. But it's just traditional agriculture. So I came in with previous knowledge of hydroponic production. We did it as, starting as a hobby with my dad 20 years ago. And then it slowly grew into a commercial business for him. And so I'm very knowledgeable or have a lot of experience in the hobby side. That's mainly what I do now. And then I've seen it grow into something that can make money.
My name is Francisco Rivera. I am the extension agent from Hillsborough County. I have on this position around 4 years right now. I always have a interest in help the new generation that is coming, and I always collaborate in different 4-H projects. But why I'm doing this is because I have a previous experience. I came from Puerto Rico. I started reading a lot of books, magazines about hydroponics, and I say, oh, I can do this. So I start in an apartment. My first time, I just remember cutting different PVC pipes and building my first NFT system. And that was probably 10 years ago. That time, I just remember that all the powder was around the apartment that I was living there. So basically, I learned what we can do it and what we can't. So I think that is something fun now, but on that time it wasn't fun. I guess a lot of headache. I didn't know how to make the solution. So there was a lot of questions that I had before, and what I'm trying is that the people that are coming now can understand that hydroponic is not hard, but for some reason a lot of people just make it sounds like something really hard. So what I'm trying to do in my county is provide that hands-on experience to the public that I can tell them you can do it. If the people feel more comfortable doing what they want to do it, if we don't scare them, they can start their project, and that's what I'm trying to do with this hydroponic program.
What we've done in extension is that, since he was hired, I had a beginning hydroponic program that I offered to communities, and we took that and we started offering it to different counties, expanding the components of that curriculum or extension program. And right now we have trained over 500 people in 7 or 8 different counties throughout the state in the last 3 years in hydroponics. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, also we provide international, national conference, and we had the opportunity to participate on that, talking about different options and hydroponic benefit and how to make a hydroponic program.
That's awesome. And so thank you guys for sharing that. I know that Francisco hit the nail on the head. In 4-H, one of our biggest platforms is hands-on learning. And it definitely sounds like, based off what you guys were describing, that hydroponics is very much hands-on. It's definitely hands-on learning in a really cool way. So I'm going to be honest, I do not have necessarily an expertise in hydroponics. So if we could start from the beginning, what is hydroponics and how, just what is hydroponics and why is it important?
Okay, so hydroponics is defined as the use of soilless media and water solutions to, produce a crop. It comes from Latin or Greek. I think it was Greek. It's defined virtually as water working. And that's pretty cool because what we do is that we substitute our dirt, gardens for a substrate that the plant can anchor itself to and absorb water, a little bit of retention in terms of water and nutrients, and then we can spoon feed basically what the plant needs. That reduces a lot of the environmental factors such as nutrient runoff. We efficiently use the water as well, which is a problem in Florida, especially in your area where you have a lot of people accusing agriculture of polluting the waterways, and then they go out and they, spread fertilizer on their lawn and think that everything's fine. But, for a young person, this is a good way to understand how plants work. And this is a good way to understand what plants need. And this is a good way to, start a nice demonstration that they can develop their skills and interest in botany or agriculture, horticulture, whatever.
Other thing that they can learn is about the different growth phase, identify the different part of a plant. That is really important, how the sunlight help the plant to create the photosynthesis, and then we can make a lot of activities around the growth of the plant. That I think that is really important, that they can understand that not all the plants are going to grow in the same environment. And using hydroponic, you can use a smaller space. For example, my county have an agricultural area, rural area, and other urban area. And using hydroponic, you can grow plants in areas that are not suitable for growth. For example, if you don't have a soil or a land, you can just make an hydroponic system and then you can grow your own plants. So it's an alternative for grow food if you don't have a big space of land.
Yeah, speaking from my experience, I grew up in a very urban county in a very suburban area where, everyone, if a family lived on more than a quarter acre of land, that was a lot. So I really would have enjoyed an opportunity like hydroponics. I didn't really know much about it, but definitely sounds like something engaging for youth and something that that they could definitely learn a lot from. So I know, Juanael, you mentioned in Hardee County, you have a very strong 4-H program with agricultural roots. And I know in Francisco, I know that I've dealt with the 4-H program in Hillsborough. So I know both programs are very much established and existent. Do they actively do projects with hydroponics or activities or camps with hydroponics?
We've done some we do a summer camp, an agriculture camp in the summer. And we have done some projects where kids can, take some solution home and, do like a container of like a hydroponic production in a mason jar, basically. That's about it. I've trained or I've toured with some seniors in our local high school, and I presented some of the hydroponic stuff that we're doing. We go a little bit farther than just doing hydroponics. We actually work with artificial lighting as well, indoor hydroponic production is something that we're working on. Let me see if I can share the screen here. This is this photo, which I wish that I could share it in a better format. This picture is in my garage, and that's lettuce. That's 6 different varieties of lettuce. This guy right here, it's a fluorescent light, which is called the T5, and you can see the plants growing perfectly in that environment in my garage, which is probably 85, 90 degrees in the summertime, and I still have lettuce, fresh lettuce to offer to my family, which is pretty cool. So you can do something like that, and you don't actually need a whole lot of space. Okay. So if I could just stop sharing this thing, that would be awesome.
So you hit a Francisco. Did you want to add anything to that comment, or are you familiar with if the Hillsborough County 4-H program is doing any work with hydroponics? Or
during this year we had an exhibition in the state of Florida fair, and we impact thousands of people, including youth, seniors, adults. So we got a great impact during this year, and was amazed because I can only just go sometimes, and when I went to the exhibition, I saw everybody like walking around, asking questions, and I think that for next year I will like to stay more time there, because we had some posters and different things that they can read, but if there is somebody there that can show them how everything's work, I think that our impact will be greater. So basically, I have my hydroponic here. I don't know if you want to see it.
Please, yeah, we would love to.
You can look different instruments or tools that we are using. For example, nutrients, pH meters, TDS meters, just to know how much nutrient we have in our solution. We have.
So define solution for the people that don't know what a solution is.
Well, basically a solution is a group of nutrients that we apply for the water. It's are water soluble nutrients that you apply to the water in order to provide the food to the plant that they require to grow. Gotcha. So that is what is nutrients. There are different type of nutrients, macro and micronutrients, but I think that for this interview, it's going to be too much. So I want to keep as simple as we can.
Right. So let me ask you guys a question. Here, if I were to have a 4-H'er here in Palm Beach County that does not have a basic understanding of agriculture, apart from what is a plant, what is soil, and they say, Mr. Daniel, I want to become better involved in agriculture. Why would hydroponics be a good introduction for them? That's the first part. And the second part is, what do they need? Do they need what space do they need? I know, Francisco, you mentioned that you grow it in your balcony. You grow it in your garage. So what is needed?
Okay, so the first thing is a little bit of knowledge on how to prepare a good hydroponic solution. So read the label. Contact your extension agent to see what they recommend. If they don't know, they will contact somebody that does. So that would be the first thing. Look for that recipe. I developed a recipe and I shared it yesterday for a friend of mine that has a son in Boy Scouts, actually, that they're working on a hydroponic project. That would be number one. Number two would be a good system that works. And we have a variety of systems. We have NFT systems, which is a traditional PVC pipes. We have floating raft systems that is just you can fabricate it with a bucket or one of these totes. You put styrofoam and then you have a floating system
Oh, wow.
with an air stone basically, and that's pretty inexpensive for a lot of people. So
Also, we calculate the cost of make a 8x4 structure using the styrofoam, and was less than $45.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Mhm.
so if you compare that to making, well, I was helping another friend, throwing in some numbers on what would it take for him to do a raised bed garden. And with the dirt, with the lumber, with the nails, with the irrigation system, with the timers, everything that I've said before except for the dirt, you would, basically using a hydroponic system. It was for 8x4, it was about $160, between $130 and $160 to grow food on the ground, okay? For the same amount of money, you can buy, or maybe you can build your own system, or you can buy for probably double that amount. For $300, you can buy a hydroponic system that is a self-irrigation system. You don't have to weed it. If you want to clean it out, you just remove the plants, apply some bleach, and then it's ready for replanting the same day. So it's kind of convenient that way. So those are some of the things that we have to factor. It is not for everybody, but it is a good experience that parents and kids can learn. I have pictures of my kid, helping me with the system, and he enjoys watching the plants, grow. That's pretty cool.
And I can show you right now what you are saying, Jonah, because I have a drip irrigation system, and that's cost me around $160. So you can see here, Daniel,
Yeah.
what I have. This is a drip irrigation system, and it's cost me more than the other hydroponic that we are building.
That's a great, because I know as a 4-H agent, one of the biggest interests we have is STEM, correct? Which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And the fact that you just hit that you can learn all those things through hydroponics, it really makes it an awesome project. So you mentioned what's needed. You mentioned the PVC pipes. You mentioned that it's a relatively cost-effective project. Now, in terms of the actual plants, how can a youth, are these plant seeds that you can buy at a local shop, or does the extension office perhaps have resources? What's the deal with getting the plants?
It depends on what you want to plant.
Okay.
If you are wanting cherries or peaches in South Florida, probably I would do something else. If you're looking at short-term crops such as lettuce, strawberries, Asian cabbage, things like that, hydroponics work well. Always check with your local, varieties. Through Extension, we have different people that test different varieties that do well in Florida or not do so well. The other, I do a variety trial here for demonstrations, for collecting data. We're working with a lettuce breeder, and he's supplying the seeds. We evaluate them on a scientific way, and then we report back how they did. As a bonus, we get to eat them. So, that's pretty cool. A seed, just about anything can be grown if you provide the right environment. So maybe that seed is not recommended for Florida, but in a hydroponic system, you can manage some of the environmental conditions and it might work. If you're looking at like a tomato, cucumber, pepper, the plants that are more permanent, that are going to climb, that have more of a space requirement, you have to modify and you have to design a system that works for you. But all of those things you can work with your extension agent. I have a little system there that somebody just gave me because they didn't know how to use it. It's like it's a grow planter about this big with an LED light on top, and these are some of the roots of the lettuce that we harvested inside my office. Okay, so that's something awesome. That thing is worth about $170, so I wouldn't pay for that, but somebody gave it to me, so I use it sometimes. The space requirement is very important because sometimes it is practical for lettuce, but it is not practical for, you know, a cucumber, or, you know, everybody's crazy about planting tomatoes. I wouldn't plant a tomato in that thing. The thing about hydroponics is that you can plant in the wintertime here. Right. And you know, if you have a protected structure against freezes and things like that, you can plant, you know, in Alaska 365 days out of the year. Lighting is a big deal because that's what plants eat. Actually, they capture the light coming out of the sun or a lighting fixture, and that's what they use as a binding agent, I guess, to create carbon. They fix carbon from the atmosphere, and they create sugar. Anyway, so lighting, at least, well, depending on the plant that you're working with, lighting can be 12 hours, 14 hours, depending on that requirement. At least planning on having around 10 hours of direct light. If you're planting outside, too much sunlight can dehydrate your crop, and this is getting technical. So you're gonna have to irrigate more frequently in the summertime than you would in the wintertime. So that's something else that needs to be in place for understanding how the systems work. Depending on the system, because with a floating bed system or with a floating raft system, you just put the water in there and you check for nutrients, nutrient levels, and you should be basically good to go unless your conductivity meter tells you otherwise. So that's a loaded question.
Understood. So Janelle and Francisco, thank you. Is there anything else you guys would like to add to any youth interested in perhaps kind of plunging into the idea of hydroponics?
We have some videos on nutrient solutions on Café Latino that you can access in Spanish and English as well. We have another one on how to build a floating raft with a plastic bucket and a piece of foam. That's another one that you can take a look at. And then the last thing would be contact your extension agent. They can make it easy for you to access the information that you need to make this work.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And there you have it from two experts in the field, Jonel and Francisco in Hardee and Hillsborough counties, respectively. And folks, I think this is a great time to mention that in Florida, we have 67 counties, and in the 67 counties, every single one has an extension office with at least one extension agent. So thank you guys so much. And until the next time, and I'm Daniel Gonzalez, and it was a pleasure speaking to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel.